folks, the conversation continues, and we have an excellent panel. I've really been looking forward to some powerful, powerful leaders with great stories here coming up. And we're going to announce them now, and please take the stage when you hear your name.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Michelle Cameron Coulter, an Olympic gold medalist, TEDx speaker, host of the Inspiring Possibilities podcast. Joining her will be Kim Sorrelle, the United Nations keynote speaker and host of the Kim Sorrelle Show. Alongside with them will be Vin Infante, a therapist, mental performance coach, founder of the and host of the 1% podcast. Alongside with them will also be Bree Rosenblum, who kicked us off this morning, professor at UC Berkeley, the founder of Authentic, as well as a published author, winning many awards. And finally, bringing up there is going to be Stacey Lauren, founder of Do the Thing and the $1 Billion Impact.
What a lineup.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can give them a bigger round of applause than that, please.
Michelle, thank you for moderating this panel, and take it away.
All right. Do you feel a little outnumbered, Vin?
No, that's great.
Okay, how amazing was that? Talk about real talk. This is what we're here to make a difference, and it doesn't happen without what? Community. Community, 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 bringing us together, and this is like seriously magical. Kyle, I just want, before we start, and you've heard it today, but hearing it again, how incredible, because we can have an idea, but until we take action, and you took action on steroids, like, as an athlete, steroids are typically not a good thing, but we're gonna say that is amazing to see what transpired in such a short period of time. So, congratulations, first of all. I think give them a huge hand. And how do we multiply? We bring more people together. This whole idea of $1 billion impact cannot happen with one person. It happens with all of us. And Stacey, I am so grateful to call you friend. I've seen what she's done over the last year and a half, and it has been lightning speed too, because there's something that's so common with everyone in this room, particularly you two leaders, is that it's come from heart. It's come from heart, and you can't stop heart when we're passionate about what we're doing. So before we dive in a little bit more, I would love everyone to introduce themselves and I think like what really has brought you here. And then I have some brilliant questions that were sent to me, but we might just like kind of play it by ear and have a conversation with you and us. How's that sound? Okay, so good. And I might ask some questions here, but first we're going to have everyone introduce themselves. And I'm so honored to be on the panel with everyone here. Like, this is fabulous. How many mics do we have?
Just the two.
Okay, just the two. Okay, so Vin, share a little bit about yourself and what brings you here.
Well, Stacey brought me here. But hi everybody, I'm Vin Infante. I am a mental performance coach, but I do things a little differently. I have a blend of services that are basically a combination of therapy, mentorship, and coaching. And why I do this is because I think, as we were actually talking about a little bit before, that the mental health system needs a change. I think that what I'm bringing to the world is a combination of mental health and mental performance, and I believe that's what really creates transformation. So that's my mission.
Well, I introduced myself this morning, and I will in a minute, but can I ask the audience a question first?
100%.
Because I feel like this is a demonstration of what we're talking about in action. What was the difference for you between this morning and this afternoon?
Keep in mind she's a professor, so it's probably a trick question.
Definitely, and there is only ever one right answer.
Shift of energy.
Yeah, and the renewed energy is because of what? Lunch, but what was it about lunch? Because it wasn't just the food, and thank you for the food. Community, right? So this is like this whole day, even the arc of this day is a demonstration in real time of what the power of community does. It takes a group of strangers, you give them a little bit of food and a little bit of smiles, and like in just a little bit of time, we get this like magic moment of community. And so I'm Bree. I introduced myself this morning. I'm a professor at UC Berkeley, but mostly I'm a lover of community, and I try to foster community in all the programs I run, which are wide and varied across higher education and also independent programs, mostly for building community among women, and also mostly for doing land-based education and bringing people to places where they can have deep transformational experiences that are not online.
Hi, I'm Kim Sorrelle, and I am so honored to be here. I've met so many really cool people. You guys are really cool people. I don't know how it happens, but yeah. Well, thank you. I'm cool too, then, I guess. But it always floors me how you get together a group of people, and you end up finding out that you have way more in common than you are different. But the differences that bring us together are also what makes it so beautiful to be together. So thank you all for letting me be a part of your life for a day, and maybe beyond. I appreciate that so much. I started my first business when I was 18. My resume is way too long, but I run a nonprofit. I do some different things. I'm an author, a speaker. I do some different things in life. But really what life comes down to for me, my goal is that we all love each other. Because the world would be a whole different place if we just love each other.
And hi, I'm Stacey Lauren, founder of Do the Thing, and I help people build engaged communities, engaged from like real, vulnerable, open conversations, and I loved getting to hear just everyone today kind of like echo that, how powerful it is when we're able to get to know each other really deeply and profoundly. And so that's what I love doing. And now I'm doing the $1 Billion Impact, where we're using these engaged communities to come together and create $1 billion of impact together.
So good. I know. And okay, now to dive in a little bit more, and it's not necessarily on this list, but I'm sitting there going like, where for each of us, and I want you to think about this too while we answer this question, has community really made a difference in your life? Like, when did it happen when you were like, went from being alone? And I'll just share a couple stories really quick too, and then I'll pass it on. But I know you can see, okay, Olympic champion. I was so quiet and shy and afraid of the water as a kid. Like, never in a million years did I think I was going to go to the Olympics in the pool. It was somebody that believed in me and brought out something in me that I would have never, ever had. When I finished swimming, and I love and appreciate this story so much, I was really lost, like figuring out, because I lost my community. I lost that thing that I had been driving for. So how many of you feel like you're surrounded with a community that you can really be you with, and that pushes you? That's so good, because that is rare. We need to find that. That's why being in this room is huge. The other story that I want to share just really briefly of where I saw the power of community was, we went through, I have 4 children, and we went through a really rough time. How many of you have gone through rough times before? We lost everything. We were starting over. And like I had pride in buying my own house when we lost our home. And I remember our stuff was still in boxes, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And I was driving to school one day with the kids, and a fight broke out in the backseat of the car. You know, how many of you guys have kids? Well, some, not the young generation yet, but or maybe you can remember this. And they're like, he touched me. No, he touched me. I go, okay, let's change the atmosphere. Let's plan something fun. Let's plan a family trip. And they wanted to go down to Mexico. My birth father lives in a fishing village. The kids don't speak English. Like, they made friends with the kids. Like how we were talking about, it doesn't matter the language. There's a commonality that happens. And they were playing soccer with them. And the kids decided they wanted to go back to Mexico. And if they just shared everything they had, if they just shared what they had, we could make a difference. So they went from that to like, if we got some of our friends to share what we have, to Mom, we're gonna need a plane. And it made me think of Kyle, like literally in 6 weeks, they presented their idea to an airline. They ended up getting a 737. We had like 70 children from 22 schools that became the ambassadors for their schools and hand-delivered special gifts to kids. It was a love toy, something that meant something to them, school supplies, but it was about the connection, that they knew they were there. It wasn't about the things, it was about the connection and having community. So that's where I was like on the bathroom floor, not knowing how we're making rent, and community, and my kids showed me what was possible. So I'd love everyone to share, like, where did community make a difference in your life? Whoever would like to start first. Yeah.
So community was an interesting thing for me because I actually never had one. When I was younger, I got bullied most of my life. I would spend most of my Fridays, like if any of you were in your 30s, if you guys remember like Cartoon Fridays, I would just sit there when I was a kid and watch that all night. That was my typical like weekend. And I didn't know what a community was. I actually went through a really heavy period. Like I just hated people, which was funny because I was going to become a psychotherapist and it's like, no, I hate people, they suck. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Everybody's always mean to me. So it became this really interesting thing of trying to convince myself that I didn't need anyone to having, honestly, I couldn't get along with kids, but I got along with adults. So at like 17 years old, my best friend was 36. And he always just used to yell at me. He'd be like, "You're ridiculous." I'm like, "No, I'm not. People are just mean." And I would never really listen to him because I knew better, right? As a 17-year-old, you know way better than adults, always. And eventually he kind of started getting through to me. He was one of the first people that ever believed in me, that ever encouraged me, that helped me out of my depression, helped me resolve anxiety and all my panic attacks. And as I got older, I started realizing that community is everything. Community is really where you could go to be yourself. It's where you could go to build relationships. And as a mentor would tell me later in life, relationships are rocket ships. They'll take you everywhere you want to go. And so now, as I'm this coach and this entrepreneur and I do all these different things, everything is actually community for me. I host dinners, I host a podcast, and now it's just this aspect of how do I meet more people? And what could that do for you? How many of you have gone out before, didn't expect it, met a business partner, a friend, had a relationship come from it? That's all community. That's all people. And so even when people tell me what business they're in, I actually like to understand how are you related to people? Because we're all in the business of people. If you sell a product, a person's buying your product. If you want a relationship, that's a person too. So I think for me, now I'm just, everything should be community. Because if you're not building a community, what are you doing in life? I don't know, pretty abrupt end there, but.
Who would like to go?
I guess it's me. Everyone's shoving the microphone my way. Okay, so when community really showed up for me, or one of the times in my life when community really showed up for me was when I was 47 years old and diagnosed with breast cancer right after becoming an empty nester. And I gotta say, I was so excited to be an empty nester. And I don't even know what empty nesters do. Like, I don't know if you get to run around the house naked or what it is, but I was excited for it. I was so excited for it. And then a couple weeks later, I get this phone call on Friday afternoon, and I was scared to death. I mean, nobody wants to hear that word. It was scary. And so I was going through my stuff, and my husband, most amazing man ever, started having stomach issues. Went to the doctor. It just takes a couple legs. You're nervous because of your legs, and then went to the doctor a couple months later. Oh no, you're just nervous. Well, 4 months after my breast cancer diagnosis, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which is a horrible one. And 6 weeks later, he passed away. So I was still going through my cancer junk when my husband had to face his own journey. And it was tough. It was, and then I'm 47 years old and single. And so community, when community really showed up for me, was when community stopped going from, I feel sorry for you, I feel bad for you, to I'm here for you. And that's the community that sticks around. Those are the people that truly care and want to be there. And I think that's what we need to be for each other. We need to be here for each other.
And Stacey, you're building community on steroids right now. I keep saying that. Wow. And I think like tying together, like wanting to get out. Like how many times do you feel like you just want to recluse and stay home? I think post-COVID we feel that even more. Like it takes effort to get out, and that isolation and loneliness is an epidemic. So how do we get people out of their comfort? So I love. Stacey, do you want to share about the inception of the comfort circles and what you've disclosed or understood from your building of community and how this all came together.
Yeah, so good. So, a little do the thing history. You guys want some? So I will tell you I was single and I joined this group. It's a Peloton singles over 40 group and decided to start dating. You would? There you go, yeah. And decided to start dating. And it was something about being in that group and like being able to share my like dating stories, you know, and some of them good, some of them not good in that group. It was just a Facebook group. Was really empowering. And so then I met my boyfriend. Some of you met him. Say hi, Scott. And then I was like, oh my gosh, everyone has to meet somebody in real life. Stop doing these dating apps. And so I then was at the time where I'm like testing the do the thing formula and the challenges, and that's when I started my own Facebook group. And it's funny, I then invited the Peloton Singles Over 40 group into this challenge. It was a dating challenge with dares to get people to get out of their comfort zone. And this is when I noticed the comfort circle for the first time. You guys can see the comfort circle there. Because I basically was, I'm not a dating coach at all, but I am good at helping people like overcome rejection. You guys will hear my daughter, she's like a master at this later. But overcome rejection and like really focus on goals. And so I just did dares saying like go to a dog park and, you know, say hi to a stranger or tell someone you're single and some different things like that. And they loved it so much that I got to start identifying that instead of like our comfort zone, we each have our own comfort circle. And when we're able to identify our individual comfort circle, then the group collective has their own comfort circle that they're going through. And so it's a really powerful way to like understand yourself more and then also understand the other people that you're with inside community.
And I love it because if you give people space to move from where they are, like meet them where they are, like, and not push, like sometimes you feel like when you're pushed, then you recoil back, right? So meeting people where they are, and then whenever we do something new, does it feel comfortable? So, but to understand this is brilliant because you go, oh, I'm in that first zone, I'm not comfortable, but let me warm up. Let me start like stretching that comfort zone. And then whenever anything's new, we get to move through those when you understand that, which is so cool. The other thing is like, how many of you are close to your families? Like I was joking, like I'm from a blended family of 10 kids, and I said, what's the definition of a dysfunctional family? One with more than one member. So sometimes we have our family circles that are close, but they might not be the ones that support. They might not see that vision, or I'm doing this thing, and often it's protection because they want to protect you from doing the thing, as opposed to, did you want to jump in there?
You just reminded me, there was another powerful thing that happened while I was running that challenge and I had this group, was people were doing the dares, and they're like asking, they're like, oh wait, can my friends see this? You know, I don't want my friends to see this. And this is where I noticed the most powerful piece of what we're doing right now, which is being with people that have the same goal, because it's different than your friends and family and your regular support network. Because if you're telling people outside of this room, like, oh, I'm creating $1 billion of impact, they may be like, what? Like, are you crazy? What's that? But when you're here, we're like, what is your impact? Tell me more. I want to know, right? And so we're expanding and growing together.
That's so big. So there can be different circles of community for different things, like the dating app, or it's like, okay, this community that's building, that's going to create impact and start that fire that then attracts more fire to keep going. Okay, I will do a couple questions on here because I'm not always good at reading stuff. That's my problem. This was a question that really intrigued me too on Vin's. It's like, in your work as a therapist and through the 1% podcast, what do you see happen psychologically when people try to pursue growth completely on their own?
This is a very interesting thing. How many of you have ever tried to do anything on your own? Anybody? Okay, so a few of you, right? When you eventually, if you do, call somebody and ask them for help, ask them for support, ask them for a perspective, maybe even it's just an extra hand lifting something, doesn't it get exponentially easier? That's kind of like the most obvious thing, but it's the last thing we usually do. I mean, I'll see people go through it mentally, emotionally, spiritually, they'll go broke, and then they're like, maybe I should get like a coach or somebody to help me. And it's like, you couldn't do that before you lost everything. And I think it's a really funny point. Why do we do that? Is it ego? Is it pride? Fear. Is it fear? Could be fear. But I think the biggest thing that motivates a lot of people to do things on their own, especially as entrepreneurs, any of you that identify as an entrepreneur, this may resonate with you. I came from a place where I had something to prove. I was never good enough. I had no friends. I couldn't get a girlfriend. I was the awkward, chubby, nerdy kid that watched Cartoon Fridays. There was no space for me where anything that I did would prove to me that I was enough to achieve what I wanted. So help was going to be like a punch in the gut. You can't help me. I need to prove to you and the world that I'm capable. But the interesting thing is you're actually trying to prove it to yourself. And so what I've noticed is when people are doing this thing alone, it's really an attempt at just trying to show themselves that they're worthy. But what it usually does is it offsets. It pushes their teams away. It breaks up their companies. They lose their relationships. Their kids grow distant. And so it's not always a terrible horror story like that, but more times than not, going at things alone slows speed, slows growth, and breaks down progress. That's the typical thing I see.
And it's lonely. Like, who wants to have more FUN with what they're doing? And it's way more fun together when we do that. I know I always share that, no one gets to the top of the podium alone, and who wants to? And it's like when you ask for that help and that support. But it's also, I love the real conversation that we had, because it's about being real, because there's a part when you're climbing that you feel like you need to be stoic and have all your shizzle together, or people aren't going to think you have what it takes to get there, which can be so destructive. So being real in that way and asking for help, because I'll just share, post-Olympics, I struggled, and I ended up with an eating disorder the last 5 years of my swimming career and 10 years after, because I felt like I was a fish out of water and expected to be good at all the other things after that. It took a long time to ask for help, and the reason why I finally did is I don't want my kids to go through that. So what if we, right now, is there something that you can let go of feeling like you need to do it on your own? Can you just, everyone, take a moment? Is there one thing that you can think of right now that would it be more fun? And what could you let go of thinking you need to do it on your own? Can everyone think of something? Because I want this to be, hey, good, so good. Bree, you just started a new, yes, please. Yes, this can be a conversation. Yeah, totally. Okay, go.
I just want to say something about a fish out of water, because, and I know I say water funny because I grew up in Brooklyn, but my parents are Midwestern, and it's like the one word in my accent that no one can stand. But the reason why we feel like a fish out of water when we're isolating is because we are. Because connection and community is actually what the blueprint of life is. If you just even think about, and I know this is a little nerdy, but you think about the DNA strands in our body, they're all built on bonds and connection. And so it's literally the blueprint of our life has to do with connection. So when we're isolating ourselves, it's not just that we're doing something personally to withdraw, but we're actually withdrawing from the truth of life. And I think that's one of the things to me that's really important about community. One of the science facts that ties me to community most strongly is that less than 50% of the cells in your body are human cells. Yeah, so we are ourselves, each of us as an individual is a community ourselves, right? We are full. I know you don't like to think about this, but we are. We're full of bacteria and viruses and a million other things. And so if you think about the fact that community is this nested thing that's just the reality of our bodies and our lives as humans on this planet, then I think it explains partly why we feel so extra double depressed when we withdraw from community, because it's not just that we're withdrawing from our human need for connection, we're actually drawing from the deepest truth of life.
Wow. Okay, that was super powerful. Mic drop right there. That's why you talk about the blue zones. The blue zone is communities. It's community. It's all based in community, health and well-being. Okay, so this question tied nicely too, I think. And you have a book called Love Is, best-selling book, Love Is. So I'd love to ask you, for someone listening who feels alone in their goals right now, what's the smallest, most meaningful step they can take towards finding or even building community?
So yeah, love is, yeah. Love is, just real quickly, after losing my husband, I floundered, like I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I wanted to live life right, and I thought, well, if I understood love and lived love, then I'd live life right. So I decided to dedicate a year to figuring out the true meaning of love. And if you know me, if you've ever gone out to dinner with me, you understand that I have a hard time committing to an entree. So to commit a year to something was a huge stretch for me. And the majority of the time I was working on it, I was in Haiti. And the things that I found out about love that blew my mind, rocked my world, we are taught so many wrong things about love. And when you know what love really is, when you understand it's not about receiving, but love is 100% on you to give. It's 100% on you to live. Love is not an emotion. You know, we're taught that, right? But I think about, like, show of hands, hopefully I'm not the only one, but if I watch a scary movie, I go to bed that night, I hear every creak, every bump, anybody else, but then the next night's better, right? That's fear. Fear is an emotion, it comes and goes. Love never comes and goes. Love is who we are. It is who you are. And how you want to live it is up to you.
So good. Okay, I don't even know where to go right now. This is so good. Okay, I'm going to, one of the questions here that I do love though, Stacey, through things like Find Your Voice Challenge, because it's also finding our voice. If we recluse, like how do we really find out who we are, what we want, what are the things, and how many of you talk to yourself? A lot. And how many talk a lot of maybe negative things about ourselves? But it's like, what happens when we get those voices out of our head? And I think one of the most famous epic challenges that you started, Stacey, was the Find Your Voice Challenge. You help people move from intention into action together by finding their voices. So what patterns do you see in communities that actually create momentum and results by finding their voice?
Yeah, so this is my favorite topic. How long do we have? No, just kidding. It's really powerful. This is one of the things that I was experimenting with as I was running challenges. So after I did the dating challenge, I noticed that the next step was people were now comfortable going out without needing to have a date. They were able to go out on their own, right? We don't need to sit on the couch anymore. We can go out and meet people regardless of who's with us. And so that was really powerful, is getting to see people empowered. But that was what was next, is they needed to then find their voice. So that was where that challenge was created, was from the next step after the dating challenge. And then after that, guess what happened? They were ready to start a book. And then they were ready to start a podcast. And then they were ready to grow your audience. I have actually somebody's here from the dating days. So it's amazing to see that. And that's where these comfort circles came from, is me seeing people in action, and then also seeing where people got stuck. And so the course mode is like, okay, I'm sitting on the couch, I'm not ready to put myself out there yet. Then we're finding our voice, then we're sharing our voice, then we're monetizing our voice, creating our movement and global reach. But here's the crazy part of it, this challenge, it fits at every growth level. Because just like right now, a lot of you are new to me. I'm still kind of finding my voice on this stage, you know? I'm okay, I'm okay, I could be myself still, right? But it's like we're finding our voice. Are you guys feeling that a little bit? Yeah, and so no matter what level you're at, you're re-finding your voice. Okay, who am I? I'm good enough. I could do this. And so this challenge now has been done in, I think we're at 45 communities. It's translated in different languages. And this is one of my favorite challenges to do with companies, with communities all over the world, because it helps people really find their voice together and be able to achieve goals together.
So good. And I love this. All right, who's done a challenge with Stacey? It's like putting into action the ideas by little nudges constantly, and in community. So you're not doing it by yourself. How many times has someone opened up to you and you went, oh my gosh, I felt the same way. Oh my gosh, but I've never articulated that. This is what happens in these challenges, is that it's these little nudges that puts everyone out of their comfort zone, and then they move together as a community, which is So powerful, so good. On that note, kind of the opposite part of that, I don't know if that was a good intro way to say it, but I was looking at one of Vin's questions in here. Not all communities help us grow. What distinguishes communities that truly support growth from those that quietly keep people stuck or even cause harm? What a good question. I don't do these questions. They're good.
Good, not bad. Okay, so here's a very interesting thought. If you're all attending this, I'm going to guess most of you have probably attended other events before. Is that fair to say? Can I say how many people have been now? Okay, so you guys aren't novices here. You know what you're looking for. And you've probably been to some events where it feels like people are just shoving you into the room. You're like, I don't know why everybody's here. I don't know what they have to offer. I don't know what I could offer. And I've found that a lot of the times when out networking, and I've gone to so many events, that it's always just a money grab. Hey, you might not get any value out of the room, but like, you know, they say be in the room, right? So come to the room. And it's like, you're in the room. It's like, why am I here? And so I think the biggest thing, and this is what I've actually been building, I have a new company that I've been doing now for like 7 months. It's a community-based company. It's called The TRIIBE. And we put together intentional dinner series for entrepreneurs and founders. And it was founded by me and my good friend because we're all sick of networking. We think networking is boring, it's just not fun. And we looked at how can we create something that actually brings people together with a reason. So when we invite people into the room, it's actually a personal invite. We know why you're there, we know who to introduce you to, we know what value's in the room. And I'm not pitching my dinners. It sounds great. But I think that's actually something that everybody should start looking into when creating great communities. Because what you're doing is you're fostering connections. Like, you've hosted this event, you've brought people here. I'm sure your goal is to get people connected, right? You and Kyle, you've done an amazing job getting people here. But you didn't just do it because you're like, let me make as much money as possible. You did it because you're hoping people leave with value. And that's what a lot of community organizers miss. They focus on the metrics. How many seats do I get filled? How much can I make per seat? What's my margin? When I host an event, I focus on who should be there, why should they be there, how can I give them the most value, and make their investment a 10x. And so I think if we all spend more time focusing on why we're in what room and how that translates to supporting our lives, I think those are the rooms that are going to lead the charge in building better communities. And one last thing is, like, AI is pumping right now. Everything is becoming fake, right? The videos, you could get talking videos of people, they didn't even make them. And so I think the next push too is community, because everything is becoming so fake. Now it's who can I be in front of? Who can I reach out and touch? And in doing so, you know that you're actually in something real in a world that's turning very robotic.
Okay, that's another mic drop, the whole thing, because it's so true. Like, when we're up here talking about the power of community and the power of AI, like, it's inevitable, and there's many good things about AI. The biggest thing, the biggest threat is the loss of personal connection and community. So being in rooms together, and that is really, I was in the back of my mind just giggling a little bit when you were saying, oh, you go into rooms and you don't know, what am I doing, what am I, that's following Stacey. It's like, we don't know what we're doing, we just know that this is the intention. When you start with intention, that's it. When you come from this heart-centered place and intention to do something that everyone, this is, I think, a funny statement, but it is true, that everyone wins. Like, wins because we're elevating, like today, we're elevating entrepreneurs and what they're doing in the world, because part of it's giving back to amazing organizations like TRIIBE. Like, it's like elevating everyone's vision together for something that's bigger than any one of us could do alone. So that power of connection, that power of community is fundamental. There's no way it happens without it. And I'm just going to sneak peek, but we get to have an actual like interaction, activation a little bit later, where we really do get to connect in a way that's so powerful. Okay. Bree, you recently founded a new nonprofit, the Health Institute. I started.
Hearth, like fire, like a hearth.
Oh my
coming
God,
together
okay, the
around
hearth enthusiast. I'm going like health. Yes, we all need to be healthy at the same time too, and it's hearth. See, that's why I don't read questions. How does this complement what we're talking about today? Hearth, okay, I love that.
Yeah, the idea is kind of that feeling of like bringing people together around a fire. It's kind of similar to my version of the table. Well, I suppose how it relates to this conversation is that one of the things that I notice in community action conversations is they're focused on action, right? And there's a lot of steps that come before action in authentic community because we have to know what's going on. We have to know what we're afraid of. We have to know what's actually true, and then we're ready to take action. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we're ready to just jump into the fray and do stuff, but actually that kind of outward-facing momentum, to me, really needs to be balanced with an inward-facing reflection. And that inward-facing reflection can be in ourselves, but it can also be internal to our communities. And so that's really my interest in the new nonprofit I founded, the Hearth Institute, is that marriage of kind of inner reflection and outer action. And specifically because I'm such a nature-based person, it's in this like incredible spot in northern New Mexico, like totally off-grid, right on the rim of the Rio Grande. And it's just a place for people to come kind of rest and renew and reflect in themselves so that that inner person is connected to our planetary actions through purpose, but that for me, you don't get that outer action with integrity if we haven't gone in first. So.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so powerful. And I think that as much as we want to do so much stuff, if we're not grounded in it, like we can lose ourselves within it.
Yeah, and that feels to me like it's true for us as individuals, but it's also true for us as organizations. And that's part of what I love about working with organizations is that organizations, and this is my biology nerd hat, is right, it's all the levels of organization, like as individuals or as communities, we're still organisms. And so a community or a company is an organism that needs to reflect on itself the same way an individual needs to. And so I really love how life has already taught us how to be totally consistent. Like it's the same at every level. Like what you need to do as a person is the same thing we need to do at the company. It's the same thing we need to do in the collective. It's the same thing we need to do at the country level. Like it's the same thing we need to do in the world. And that alignment of like what do we need to do for ourselves and how does that mirror out into the communities we're a part of, I think there's a lot to learn there.
So good. So good, connecting back to the foundation. I know we have a few minutes left. There's more questions on here, but what I really would love to do is everyone on the panel, if there's something burning that you want to share, and then we want to open it up to all of you, like our community here. We've just grown our community, by the way. Like, do you feel like more of a community here? Like, we're hanging now, so we want to hear from you as well. But I'd love everyone on the panel, like, is there something that you really want to share that I maybe didn't touch on or ask you about that you just feel really, God, they need to know this. I want to share this. Okay, good. I can see your mind.
It's been touched on already. Like, I feel like everything that's already been said today is building to this particular moment, right? Like, it's just been building all day, which is so cool. But the loneliest people are also the smartest, wisest people in our country, and they're the oldest people in our country. And in the elderly demographic, which I'm part of now, people identify as being lonely, forgotten. People sit at home. They're so disconnected from community. And you mentioned the blue zones, and the blue zones are all about why do people in these areas live longer than the rest of us? And it's not the diet, and it's not the air they're breathing. It's not what they're doing for a living. It's all about community and purpose. And when you can bring community and purpose together, that's when community is sustainable. That's when communities last. Which is why when you have a common goal, it could be a knitting club. It can be, we all like whiskey. But when you have something, a common something, doesn't matter what age you are, automatically there's a connection. And so with the older generation, the people that we should be drawing on for wisdom, and they've got this lived experience that we can learn so much from, we need to be connecting people more, right? We need to be connecting people more. And so if there's somebody in your life that is older, a neighbor, a aunt, whoever, look at their life and see what you can do to bring them into a community, because it's a epidemic in our country, and people are dying younger because of loneliness, because of lack of community. And if you can do it around a purpose, like somebody last night was telling me that their dad loves it when she calls and asks him a question about something. Her dad just loves it. So she makes up questions to call and ask him, and it makes him so happy. And it makes her happy because it makes him so happy. But so who can you ask a question to? The wisdom that comes from that. Yeah. So we need to.
I would just, for me, this, and I love with the dating challenge, that was something that I then started to study in other people that were going through transitions. And so how many of you have been through a transition recently? Okay, great. So this is where dating, divorce, widow, death in the family, job change, career change, selling a business, right? These identity markers of things that rock our world, retirement, school, leaving the military. This is the thing to me that's really the biggest thing I want to leave home with, is if that's happening and you have not found a new goal to be able to attach yourself in a new group to join, then that could be where, and going to a dinner, that could be where your biggest gift could be. And I loved where Bree and I, when we met, it was funny because she had mentioned the whole, before they get into action, and so we've been doing a lot of work together, and for the person that bought Bree's offer, she's the one that helped kind of frame all of this, so I just want you to know that you're in an exciting place. But yeah, so that's why I think even if your goal isn't a crazy goal yet, it could just be simply self-reflection, and it could be just that's what Find Your Voice does, where you're reflecting on certain things together. And so having the courage to be open and vulnerable in a community, and realizing when you're in a transition, if you're spinning or you're stuck or you're whatever, you just might need a new goal and a new group to join to be able to do that goal with.
And the last minute things, or did I come down here yet? Now I'm blanking out.
I'll just say that I think that we all should, I don't like the word should, I think it's important to recognize that we all have our own personal issues with reaching in or out for support or community, that there's also just a reality of how epic it is to be a human on this planet right now, and that regardless of where each of us wake up each day, that there is somebody that we're gonna come across. And it's not just a be kind kind of platitude, it's truly there's someone we're gonna come across every single day of our lives that just could use some basic human connection. And it feels like that's very old-fashioned in a way, but feels like we could use a little more of that.
Okay, do we have any, yes, okay, questions here?
I'm just reminded, among other things, by the way, all four of you, it's totally awesome. I'm reminded of, among other things, of the Beatles singing, help, I need somebody, help, not just anybody, because that is counter. There are a lot of young people, including the young person in me, who says, I don't even need people. And so I'm thinking of a few songs, I'll just leave it with help, I need somebody, Stevie Wonder, Love's in Need of Love Today, Oliver, Where's Love, and maybe somebody who actually can sing could sing a word on that. And last but not least, I forget what else to say.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that and starting with that young person in you too. Okay,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead, you remembered.
Yeah, Mark Twain says, I love progress, it's just change I can't stand.
And what is life? Change.
Change.
Change all the time.
Expect. I remember seeing a sign that said expect the unexpected. I go, I don't get it. I don't get it. Wait, that's life, right? And I love that you said the young, because who has a kid in them still? To our basis, we're all that, and it comes to everyone wants to be seen, heard, and know that they matter. So that's so big. Any other questions? I have a couple quick little things. Any other questions from you? Someone, there we go. Yes.
So I really appreciate you all speaking about community pulling you out of these hard personal moments. I find it even harder to ask for help in a professional sense, in a professional setting, especially in entrepreneur and nonprofit spaces where like there's so much pressure to only share the successes and so much is measured in impact. How do you tie this idea of vulnerability and asking for help into your professional work and your business endeavors?
So there's a fantastic question, and we can talk about that for 2 hours. And I would love to, maybe at the cocktail hour. But there's two things that I do, which I just think are like fun, small ways of normalizing these kinds of things. First is I have all of my students keep a failure resume, where they actually write down like what are the things that have kind of crushed their spirits a little bit in the professional realm, in a way of not only normalizing that, but really articulating to themselves like what comes from that, like what's kind of like the inner recycling we do with failure that leads to kind of the hummus for new things. And then the other thing I have everybody do is keep an apocalypse resume of what skills do they have that'll be relevant. But like it's a fun way of thinking like, oh right, like not just who am I. I'm told to show all these successes, but in addition to these professional successes, let me make visible not only all the failures, but also all my apocalypse skills. And so then in a professional context, like I know that one of my colleagues just like is obsessed with orchid propagation and feels like if stuff goes south, like he's gonna just give everybody orchids. Like, and someone else is like obsessed with, carding sheep wool or whatever. But it means that like even in professional context, I feel it's not so much like blending or like softening the barrier between personal and professional. That's not really what I'm talking about. It's more like bringing our whole selves to the professional context, so that as we become less one-dimensional in our professional lives, the professional contexts we're in have to become less one-dimensional to tolerate our bigness, And so I'm a really big fan of being as three-dimensional as we all possibly can in our professional lives, because it forces a change in those environments. So it's a great question.
So beautiful. What a way to wrap that up. And I do want to share like some of the challenges that Stacey has been doing this within companies and organizations to have real conversations that everyone is a part of is really key. So creating the culture where that happens. And it's not like, oh, something's wrong. This is like the way we build a culture of having, how much time do people spend at work? Like, it's like, this is where we're spending so much of our time, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a corporate world. I know we're wrapping up. I brought something special. How many of you watched any of the Olympics at all? Yeah. So since we are on the edge of the Olympics, just finishing, I brought something that's very special to me. You might guess what it is, but it's actually my trophy for most improved swimmer, because I was so crappy. I failed my first level of swimming 4 times. I bring this because this is the little thing that actually sits by my Olympic medal, which I do have here, but the significance of it when somebody believes in you. And this is what we get to do, see that, was that me? See that in each other. Like, was that me? Did I do that?
I have a really huge startle response, so I think it was me that jumped on my chair.
Okay, I know we're wrapping. I have if we have 1 minute, are you guys game for a fun exercise with everybody here to move for a bit? Is everybody up here? Okay, we want to make sure we don't fall off the stairs. Okay, so as an athlete, we learn how to visualize, the power of visualizing. How many of you visualize? We all do. Like when the alarm goes off in the morning, you don't get up at the same time. It's like you start to see what you need to do. So we're going to do this exercise. Everyone's going to stand with their feet shoulder width apart. I'm going to step up here a little bit, and you guys get to do it. Feet shoulder width apart, and put your right arm out. Put your right arm in. Just kidding. Okay, right arm out, and put your right pointer finger out. And what I want you to do is turn to the back of the room. Turn as far as you can. To the back of the room, like go backwards with your arm. Find a point, go as far as you can, find a point on the wall and just kind of notice it. Okay? Now come back to the center. Okay, now this is the visualization part. Okay, everyone close your eyes. Close your eyes. I can see you if your eyes are open. Close your eyes. Now I want you to see where you just went. See where you just went. Now I want you to see yourself going further. See yourself going further. Okay? Now everybody back to center. Put your arm out, open your eyes, and go again. Okay, quick survey. Who went further the second time? Okay, well, I am so confused because I asked you to go as far as you could the first time. And look at in 30 seconds or less, see where you want to go. This is what I want you to remember viscerally, is that this is the vision of what happens when we come together and just see even a little bit how much further we can go together. So thank you all. Thank you, panel.